Welcome, everybody. We haven't been here for a minute. Like, we had to take the last couple of weeks off, and we're really sorry about that. But welcome to the End Zone Scoop. I'm Dayna, OG. We are excited because, well, I don't know. Is excited the word? This year has been so bizarre. We're excited to talk about that. I guess it's so good and bad of it. Joining me, as they always do, we have Shona, we have Liz, and we have a full show for you guys. So how have you guys been the last couple of months? I know, Shona, that you have been wedding planning and going to nursing school and running your head like crazy.
Yeah, who thought that would be a good idea? Because I'll tell you something, it isn't. No, it's going fine. No, nursing school is very intense, as it should be. You're training to save people's lives.
Yeah.
So you have to be super on it. And then also the wedding planning, we've had to reschedule our engagement party 3 times because every time we pick a date, we're like, yeah, let's do that. One day our maid of honor and the best man can come. The second day our best man couldn't come. So we're now on our 3rd date and we're like, we're not changing.
Oh no.
Show up or don't. Show up or don't at this point. Oh my gosh. It's crazy. It's crazy. Liz, how are you? Are you starting to feel festive? Are the holidays starting to creep into your world?
Yeah, definitely. I passed someone's house the other day and their Christmas tree was up. So that's making me feel like I need to do something, but I do also feel like it's a little bit too early. However, I am going to do Christmas shopping on Friday, or start doing a Christmas shopping on Friday. So we'll see. But yeah, absolutely.
I don't mean to alarm you, but I'm already done shopping and everything is wrapped. I'm just letting you know. If I don't do it soon, it doesn't happen. Well, I'm sure everyone is riveted about our shopping habits, but let's go ahead and get started. So this football season has been a very odd one, in my opinion. It has been very much up and down. The AFC and NFC both seem to be wide open, ripe for the picking for any team that wants to come on and just start to dominate. We saw teams start out horribly and come raging back like we've seen in the Chiefs. We have seen teams that started out super hot and then have completely fallen apart. Dallas, the last couple of games, that's a good question mark on that one. So I think that this season has been a bit of a roller coaster for everyone, even more than last season where we were dealing with all the COVID protocols and everything that came along with that. So let's go ahead and get started talking about the football. Do you guys want to start with Thanksgiving games or rookie quarterbacks? Which would you prefer?
I mean, we could start with Thanksgiving, seeing as it's
start with Thanksgiving.
2 days to go.
I know. Here's
I've already made 2 pumpkin pies. 2.
That's organized. Nice. I don't even bake.
I love that you guys, even get into it. I think that that's wonderful. Here's the thing. Football and Thanksgiving are completely hooked together in the United States. That they go together like peanut butter and jelly, right? Like that's just the way it's supposed to be. And we have a couple of games that are traditionally on Thanksgiving. And then you usually have 1 or 2 what we call highlight games, which are games that people are maybe more interested in seeing, or so they think so at the beginning of the year. As the season plays out, sometimes you're like, ooh, that was a bad choice, but that's okay. We'll see it. So Liz, talk to us a little bit about the Thanksgiving games and what's coming up.
Yeah, so the first game, as always, is Detroit Lions and the Bears, right? And so I was reading the other day about the history of it. So Detroit Lions are the teams that started off the whole Thanksgiving football thing. Mm-hmm. But then I've noticed, like, the past years, obviously, is always Lions versus Bears, right? For the first game?
Not always.
No,
traditionally it is. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that'll be the first game. I don't really know how excited I am about that first game, to be quite honest.
Right?
Not very.
Well, especially with all the troubles that they're having. We totally understand where the lines are at, okay? But it's the Bears that have been a little up or down, so that could be maybe the Lions think they can get a win. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe
we'll have to see how that goes. Yeah, it's an interesting game.
Like backup quarterback versus backup quarterback, right? Did I read that right?
Yeah.
So that's going to be an even like not too horrible, but like an even poorer
Lord.
game to watch.
Right, just the absolute worst. Seriously.
Remember 2 years ago when I was touring the States, I was really excited to be in America for Thanksgiving, and the first game was Detroit's Lions and Bears, and I got to the nearest sports bar and it was
boring. Yeah, it is boring. Yeah, but it is tradition. Now you guys have to remember, these teams haven't always been this bad. Okay, there was a long time where it was very good rivalry. It was super fun. It's in division, so they have a good time. The Bears are currently 3-7. The Lions are 0-9-1. Fields is injured. Goff is injured. It's going to be. It might be a game you can skip. I hate to say that, but it might be a game you can skip.
Yeah, I was sort of thinking.
Right. It is held in Detroit. Detroit has a fantastic history, though, of their Thanksgiving games. I don't know if you guys know about that. They have a huge parade and a march to the stadium. And win, lose, or draw, those Lions fans show up for it. And I just think it's super fun.
Yeah. So that's what I love about that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I will realistically watch it because I'll be cooking at the same time. So
there you go.
I mean, like wings and stuff. Wings that I'll eat with a knife and fork, by the way.
Not again. Not again.
The second game of the evening is the Raiders versus the Cowboys. So again, the Cowboys are another traditional game that always seems to be the second game, which is pretty cool. So Raiders are having one of those seasons where it started off good and now it's going a little bit, I don't know, unsure, kind of like what's sort of going wrong on that front. Cowboys, I think Cowboys seem to be all right.
Well, I mean, Shona, look at these two teams. These are two teams that started off insanely hot, right? Like the Raiders were like, where the hell did this Raiders team come from, right? And then their franchise has gone through hell the last month. I mean, everything that has happened to them, from Gruden and all the player drama and everything that has happened, they have really been kind of through the ringer. And so they are sitting at 5-5 now. The Cowboys, I was so pissed at that Sunday game. I couldn't even see straight. I'm not lying to you guys, because not that I wanted them to beat the Chiefs. I thought it was going to be such a good game. It was so damn boring. Like, even the Chiefs, I mean, yeah, they won 19 points. Good for you, Mr. Patrick Mahomes. It was boring as hell. How many field goals can we get in a game, right? And so that wasn't very fun for me. I was a little pissy, to be honest with you. But I still have a lot of faith in the Cowboys. I still think that they could be good. Shona, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I said this, I think, before in a podcast, that I think they did really well in the offseason with who they drafted, with who they've, the main thing was they got Dak on a new deal. Obviously, maybe him meeting that kid and him calling Patrick Mahomes didn't help him before the game on Sunday. I don't know. But no, I still think that game has the potential to be more interesting than the Lions Bears on Thanksgiving. Like, I think that is definitely going to be more entertaining, and I still think the Cowboys will reach the playoffs. I think they're, last year we had this joke that nobody wants to win the NFC East, but they do this year. They're mounting that challenge, and I think they will. I think comfortably get there.
I think so too. At 7-3, they're sitting there. All they have to do really is to get to 10 wins, I think, and you're into the playoffs this year, with as weird as this season has been. So that'll be an interesting one for sure. What about that last game, Liz?
So that's going to be the most exciting one. So that's Bills and Saints. I suppose it's not going to be hard for it to be exciting, but like that is a game. Forget Thanksgiving is like going to be an awesome game. I think it'll be quite interesting because it feels kind of like that's going to be a defensive battle, I think, more than anything. So I think it could be quite interesting to see. I kind of think maybe Bills could have that one. Don't know what you guys think.
I feel like out of the three, I would have said initially that the Bills game was the one I was most looking forward to. But now I feel like I don't know what is going on at the Bills. Like, what's happened to them?
Right.
And then I feel like for me, the standout game of Thursday is going to be Raiders Cowboys, which I would not have said beforehand. I would have said Bills Saints, but the Saints are not the same team they used to be. And they still have a lot to work out, and they're missing a lot of key players. Obviously, it's post Drew Brees era for them. So that game, to me, I don't actually know who will win it, because I would have said the Bills hands down, but after their latest showing a few weeks ago, Patriots are loving life. They're like, I want to buy a week in a back.
Oh my gosh. The Patriots. We're going to talk about them when we talk about rookie quarterbacks here in just a minute. But I agree with you guys. I would have been excited for this game too, especially the way, Jameis came out, and then obviously now he's gone. Then the Saints give that ridiculous contract to Taysom. I will never understand the Taysom Hill obsession in New Orleans. I don't get it. I don't understand it. No one has been able to explain it to me. So, but you were absolutely right, Liz. This Bills team is real hot and cold, and they were smoking to begin with. You guys know I picked them to win the Super Bowl. I said that they are just going to roll with it this year, and they're just seem to be a step off lately. And it's going to be really interesting. Believe it or not, the Bills are 6-4. And the Saints are 5-5. There's only one game between these, and you wouldn't have expected that at this point. So I feel like the Bills are going to win that game just because of the Saints are missing so many people, and they're not getting them back. But I don't know, because I didn't think that the Colts would have beaten the Bills the way they did either. But thank you very much, because 53 points out of Jonathan Joseph for fantasy football. Still the queen. Just saying. Okay. I'm excited about Thanksgiving. So will you guys watch football on Thanksgiving?
Yeah, so I think it starts at 5 p.m. for us. Like, as in the game kicks off I think at 5 p.m.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a good old long day.
Yeah.
I've only really truly had like one Thanksgiving meal on Thanksgiving. That was when I was in America. So this year I'm going to the Chipper, which is like our chip shop. So I might just get like a deep fried haggis or something, or like, something I don't know, something to add to the festivities, and then watch the game.
Right. It'll be fun. Make it a little American. Well, it's crazy at my house. This year I am working the hospital. It's my holiday to work in Thanksgiving. So I will be at the hospital with all the little kitties on Thanksgiving Day, but my family will have dinner once I get home. But it'll be really interesting. We will do it traditionally. We have the turkey, we have the stuffing, we have it all. So it's very traditional, with football on always in the background for sure. So I'm excited. I'm excited for Thanksgiving this year.
What time is it for you guys then? Like,
what?
Does the game start early in the morning for you guys then?
11:30 is the first one, because I'm in Kansas City, so I'm in Central Time Zone. So 11:30 in the morning for us, and then there's a 3:30 and a 7:20 game. So yeah,
I remember that, because I was like outside Seattle, being like outside the sports pub, be like, okay, wait for it to open. And I was like, you actually have to walk. So then I went for a walk, got myself Starbucks, feeling really Seattle. Then I came back, I was like, right, now I'm ready to drink.
I got my walk. I'm good to go. Yeah, it's a long Thanksgiving's a long day in the States. Yeah. That's for sure. That is for sure. All right, and let's
the public later on, actually holding a snooker cue. I was really tired, and I was playing with my like people I met at the hostel, and they're all playing pool, and I was just like,
Shona had a full-on American Thanksgiving.
I did. I experienced it all. Even the yams.
That's so awesome. All right, well, let's go and move on to our next subject. So where we're going to talk about, Shona, you wanted to talk about the Arizona Cardinals a little bit, and how we were talking about how the NFC and AFC both seem to be really kind of wide open and up for anyone to take. The Cardinals, though, have been extremely impressive this year.
People were saying that when Murray went out injured against, I think it was Green Bay, with his ankle, that's going to be a bit it for them. They'll curtail their run. It's the complete opposite. I mean, I'm not saying Colt McCoy is their savior and is going to be playing when Murray comes back, because that's not going to be the case. But he's done his job. He's felt that weight on his shoulders. He said it was his responsibility. But I think they've done really, really well. McCoy made his third straight start as a Cards rested kind of money, as I said, for his ankle. And it's just proving that they don't need their star quarterback to get them those wins. And I think they've already made the playoff. They've reached by top in the NFL. Sorry, they've reached the back of the number ones. Mm-hmm. And that means they've got a week for Kyler to come back, and also DeAndre Hopkins come back as well. That's exactly what you want, to be 9-2 leading into your bye week with two players coming hopefully coming back for that next game in Chicago, who aren't doing that well. So but you never know in the NFL. Chicago could spring
this
back
year.
the Cardinals. So you just never know. But I think they are the team to watch in NFC. I think a lot of people think, oh, it's just the Cardinals because they've had a rough few seasons, but they've got it together, and I think they'd be a tough team to beat in that playoffs. What do you guys think?
I think a lot of people have I hear anyway, a lot of harping is like, oh, the Rams are going to the Super Bowl. The Rams are going to the Super Bowl. Green Bay is going to the Super Bowl. The Rams. It's just the only two teams people are talking about. And I'm like, have you watched football this year? Because the Rams have massive holes and they have been exploited by many different teams. Green Bay, we don't know. Is Aaron Rodgers going to play? Not going to play? Oh, now my toe hurts. Whatever. You lost me as a fan forever. But I think what is most interesting here, and one of the ways that I look at it is you have two teams. You have the Cardinals and the Rams, both in the NFC West, which I still, even with Seattle's horrid season, I still think is one of the best divisions of football. But you see two teams that are built completely different. So you have the Rams, who have given away every draft pick they have for the next 40 years to bring in these blue chip players on 1 to 2 year rentals, right? Yeah. And that's how they've built their super team, which whatever. And then you have the Cardinals, who've had this low, slow, long build. And yes, they brought in stars. They brought in JJ Watt. Sadly, he's injured. They brought in DeAndre Hopkins. They brought in, these different players to add to it. But they've quietly, under the radar, built quite the depth of a team. And Cliff Kingsbury, I did not think he could be an NFL coach. After last season, I'm like, nope, we're done with him. He's got to be out. But what I think we underestimated was maybe his assistant coaches underneath of him, kind of pulling Kyler Murray up slowly but surely and giving him the confidence, and then building a team that doesn't only rely on the quarterback to save them. Yeah. And that's what we see in so many other teams. Arizona, if you look at it from simply that angle, from like a business angle, a building angle, it's been fascinating to watch. Liz, what do you think about the Cardinals?
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, they have been really fascinating to watch. And, I love JJ Watt. I was super excited about when he was going to be joining the team. And I suppose at the beginning, I wasn't necessarily sure how that team was going to necessarily, pan out. But they have been so fascinating to watch. And exactly like you said, they've been building that depth. And I think, like you said, people are not mentioning them for God knows what reason, because I think they are, out of like Rams or Packers, whatever, the Super Bowl contenders, if anyone. So it's almost like they're the dark horse, but they're not, because it's super obvious. And do you know what I mean? So it's like, why is nobody talking about them? I don't get it.
No idea. I think they just keep completely write them off, and I don't know if it's because they think because it is Cliff Kingsbury, or if it is Kyler Murray, or and people have been really critical of him, and he's just completely shut down those statements this season with how he's done. And as you mentioned, Dayna, it doesn't have to be about their quarterback, which obviously isn't, because they've lost him for the last 3 games, and they've still managed to grind out these victories that sometimes they lose. Sometimes they do lose to Seattle. That's a very even though I am a Seattle Seahawks fan, I was devastated. But these are the games they kind of normally lose in their division, but they're not doing that this year. They're not doing that at all. So as much as it kind of doesn't taste right to say that you think a division rival might win the Super Bowl, but I'd rather them than the 49ers or Rams.
Isn't that interesting? See, you know what? It's funny to me, because I cover the entire division. Over the years, I've covered the entire division. I'm really proud of the entire division. I don't love them. Like, I still will forever have a chip on my shoulders about the 49ers, but that's just fun rivalry stuff. They're so impressive. The whole division is so impressive that I get excited when the division starts to dominate people. And I know that's weird. I am a Seahawks fan, but I'm also a fan of this division.
Oh yeah.
But I love hard-nosed football. That's the way I like football. So I think it's really fun. So that really... That is really exciting for me. But anyway, I don't know. It's all right. Let's take 2 seconds and just get this Seattle stuff off our chest. Okay. So here's the thing. And I swear to you, people watching and listening, I will not, we won't harp on this long, but here's the thing. What is happening in front of us for Seattle is what happens to teams over time. You cannot be dominant forever. And the funny thing is that the Patriots warped fans' perception of what was possible. God love you, sort of Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, but they skewed the numbers a little, right? Most teams have good 5 to 6 years runs. For the Seattle Seahawks, who have done so well for 10 years, it's pretty rare. It usually, doesn't last that long. However, I also don't think that we need to put a fork in them completely yet. I think that they'll do okay the rest of the season, depending. There's a whole conversation about Russ coming back too soon or the complete and utter failure of Shane Waldron. But I find that that the conversation surrounding Seattle is hardest, and this kind of applies to you girls, of the newer or younger fans. So, not just because you're a newer fan, that's not your fault. If you're only in your 20s, you've only been around for 10 years. You've only seen them for so long. Some of us who are ancient and old and have been around for forever, we're like, oh yeah, we've been through this a couple of times, but it doesn't make it any less difficult just because we've not seen it. But I hope that people understand that teams happen, and it's how they respond the next year that truly matters. And in the couple of years following. And we don't know what that'll be. Will that be a Pete Carroll retirement? Will that be Russell Wilson being traded? Will that be, a zillion different things? Bobby Wagner being traded, DK being traded. That's being floated out there now too. And so I feel like we all just need to take a breath and realize as fans, we were very lucky for a very long time. That's my 2 cents. What do you guys think?
I think the main scenario I think might happen is I think Pete will announce his retirement. I think that might be coming, just because a few things he said about this season already, and I think he deserves that. He deserves to have his retirement from being a Seahawks coach. He doesn't deserve to be fired. I'm not on that. I'm not on that side at all. What I am hoping as well, this might decipher the weeds of the Seahawks fan base, who just clearly just want the team to win the Super Bowl every year, which is completely unrealistic. So I'm hoping they jump ship to like another team, go back to the Patriots or somewhere else.
Right. It's tough. It's tough. It's tough on fans. I feel bad for people, Liz. Where's your head at?
It's like anything though, isn't it? I mean, you talk about like Manchester United, for example. For as long as I've been born, they've always been a successful team up until the past few years. So I don't know, with Seahawks, obviously I joined, became a fan the year before they won the Super Bowl. So they were having some successes. So yeah, to see how this season's going, yeah, it is kind of a bit like, it's gutting. And then I also, at the same time, can't imagine no Pete Carroll. I can't imagine no Russell Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be devastated if they got rid of DK Metcalf. So it's weird, but at the end of the day, like, that is your team, like, forever. Like, I've seen it with like rugby league when all the team I'd followed for years had like gone into retirement and things like that. And all it meant is that I still support them no matter what. It's just I'm just not as excited to watch them anymore.
Right.
So I'm sure that will happen with like any team, but they are your team. You have to stick by them through thick and thin. You can't just be like throwing your toys out the pram because they've not won or anything like that. Like, yeah.
You look at it this way too, and this is something because you guys are not the average football fan. You guys are much more invested in football, and you understand it more than I would just say the average casual fan, right? And so with that mindset, I get really excited too because of what's the possibility. Because if you were a fan during the Hasselbeck era in Seattle, and then you came in and it went to crap, and then you got Russell Wilson, that excitement, there was nothing like it. And so we're probably going through the end of a certain era with Seattle. The possibility is really exciting of what could be next. We'll find our next LOB. Maybe we'll find, you know what I mean? So that's exciting too.
Yeah.
People get older and they're just not the same
anymore. People are basically saying that Carl needs to be sacked now. And I couldn't do that to a coach that has won the Super Bowl. Like he deserves to have his last moment. And I think it might come this season.
I will tell you, Jody Allen is not firing Pete Carroll. So if he decides to retire, that is how people go. It won't be a fireable moment for sure. All right, let's move on and talk about these rookie quarterbacks, because that's also something to be, well, depending on which one you're talking about, something to be excited about. So I always say that, you know, a rookie's first year, it's hard to judge them unless they just skyrocket. But especially if it's on a team that has questionable coaching and things like that, it's hard. You kind of got to let them play out. And what all you can really do when you look at I call them new quarterbacks, the babies, the rookies, is are they progressing within their system in their first year? And that is what is really interesting to me. So the funny thing about this is I was doing some research, and you guys know David Carr. He's Derek Carr's brother. He played in the NFL. He's now an analyst. He did this thing 3 or 4 days ago where he redrafted them. Okay. And so where he thought they might fit a little better. And it was so fascinating to see where maybe their skills would lie instead. All right. So the first one, he says that he believes Jacksonville picked the right quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. Okay.
Okay.
Not the right head coach, but the right quarterback.
Here you are. I think that's what he's saying there. You read through and he kind of dances around it just a little bit, but he did say that the Jags should use Lawrence's running ability, that, you know, help him move in the pocket a little bit. You could tell these little hints where he's like, if coaching could figure out how to use him, he would be just fine. But he is looking really, really good. And so let me look at his, I picked up the wrong one. Sorry. So his stats currently right now, let me find him down here. He has 2,141 yards, averaging 6 yards, a throw, completion percentage, 58%. Not great, guys. That's not great. 8 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. That's the one you don't like, right? And so in that conversation, they were talking about how maybe a different coaching system would fit, but he wants him to stay in Jacksonville. Hint, get rid of Urban Meyer. Okay, the next one, the New York Jets. He's also still very pleased with Zach Wilson with the New York Jets. In my opinion, the Jets get a complete bye this year. They have a rookie quarterback, a whole new team, and an entirely new coaching staff, right? Mm-hmm. And I've seen all of these people bitch and moan about Robert Saleh. It's like, oh, he's supposed to be a defensive coach, and they're really bad at it. 10 games, people. He's had 10 games. Can we give him a minute? Like, just give him just a minute. That's all I'm asking here. Just give him a minute. So they thought it was really interesting that maybe his style will develop over the next couple of years, maybe with a few changes, because it takes a while to shake off that college feel. But they were impressed with what they were seeing from them so far. They really think that if he just studies and applies what he's learning, that he will then he'll make that big second year jump that so many rookies do. They make that huge jump in the second year. He's also okay with Trey Lance in San Francisco. I don't get this one, guys. This one I don't understand. So he really feels like he will be the perfect transition from Garoppolo to Trey Lance. Here's what I understand. Kyle Shanahan has not shown that he can develop a quarterback yet. So someone explain to me why the hell he thinks he's so good there. Let me tell you about this, though. Trey Lance's numbers, I looked him up, and then I'm like, why? He's played 3 games. We have no idea what this kid brings to the table. But one thing is his running ability. And San Francisco has always liked a running quarterback, always. And so that is where, I mean, even Alex Smith, who's not really considered a running quarterback, was somewhat mobile. And so I think that's when they benched Alex Smith for Kaepernick, is because they wanted more mobility. And so they got it out of Kaepernick. And he has a very strong arm. He's just not super accurate yet. Oh.
I'm literally looking at the chat right now.
Did you see that in the chat?
Yeah.
The Giants have fired Garrett. Don't blame him. He's been fired a couple of times now. All right.
Thank you very much. His, head coach days at Dallas. He would have.
And I want you to know, to our chat, we are going to get to your question here in just a minute. I promise I will get to your question. Here's the interesting one, because it kind of goes with the question that was sent to us. Quick question on rookie quarterbacks. A lot of criticism is thrown at Mac Jones on what he and that he doesn't throw further than so many yards. Is that fair? Should he be praised for following the system? Mac Jones, he lives in Bill Belichick's world. You follow Bill Belichick's rules. That's the way it is. So that has more to do with an offensive coordinator, I think. But I think they are holding him back a little bit because his accuracy is not quite 100% there yet. They're going to develop that just a little bit. But interesting, we go back to David Carr. David Carr believes Mac Jones should have gone to Miami. That somehow they should have moved up, dumped Tua, and gotten Mac Jones. And because he's the Patriots of the South. They really are. That's what he calls them. The Miami is the Patriots of the South because of Flores coming from the Bill Belichick coaching tree. And so I find that interesting, although he says we all know that the Dolphins really wish they'd taken Justin Herbert. We all know that without question. So let's talk about Mac Jones for just a minute. His Patriots are screaming right now, right? They look fantastic, of course, and which is wonderful. He has 2,540 yards. He's averaging 7.3 a throw. That's pretty good. Going back to our listener's question, he's got a 70% completion rate for a rookie. That's pretty impressive, right? And then 14 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. So of all the rookies so far, he is looking to be probably the best bet. And it's like interesting because is it because of the coach? Is it because he was the most talented? Is it because it's the perfect fit of a system? I think that's so interesting. The last one is Justin Fields. He really believes, David Carr believes that he should have gone to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh should have come up, grabbed him. This is going to be Ben's last year. We can almost guarantee that. And that he would have fit beautifully in their system, which I agree. The thing with Fields, a lot of people thought he would be the best quarterback. But it was announced today that and how would you guys like this? The Bears have announced or have leaked that they're going to fire Nagy after the Thanksgiving game. They're going to let him coach on Thanksgiving. And then they're going to fire him on Friday.
Oh, yeah.
Why
so
would you?
Coach your game. Don't spend any time with your family, but you lose your job the next day.
Yeah.
Right? Because you get another game.
Well in that game.
Why? That baffled me so much, but could be the best thing for Fields for sure. He needs to be developed. They need to find someone who can pull out the knowledge that he obviously has for the game. He does great reads. He doesn't always make the best decisions. He'll get over that in a year. He makes some pretty good throws, like the big time throws. And he's fast. He's fast as hell. So I think that'll be interesting to see how that. And I think that the biggest thing about this is that there's teams who, as always, hindsight is 20/20, right? But we'll see how it kind of turns out. I don't know. It's fun. What are your impression of the rookies this year? Yes.
It's an interesting one because I almost feel like I don't ever really notice the rookies properly until like their second year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's normal. Like you look at like Trevor Lawrence, he's like, I don't know whether it's like he's had more airtime, whether he came to London. I don't know what it is, but he's a player that I have noticed a lot more, positive and negative reasons. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I mean, they're in a tough situation. They're thrown in at the deep end. They can only do what they can do. They are coming in from college, which is very slightly different, and they are coming into a team that's already experienced with coach. How do you then have your own mindset? Like, how do you bring your own? Because they were great at college, obviously, and then now they're coming into something else where it's a new situation for them, and they can't always, I guess, instill that instant success. So I don't know. I think it's like a tough place for them, to be honest. I think it's hard.
Mm-hmm. It is. Shona, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with what Liz is saying, but I think Mac Jones has killed it. I honestly think he's read the system. Yeah. He got a lot of criticism for going to the Patriots for drafting him, and they were like, "It's not the quarterback they should have gone for." Blah blah blah. Doesn't matter. He's in Bill Belichick's world. It's The Emperor Strikes Back. It's a new Star Wars film coming out.
Here we go.
It just works. It works. It totally works. And I completely understand why they've gone for him. And I think he will I think out of this quarterback field, he's going to be the one that it probably will shine the best.
From looking at the coaching staff right now, I agree with you. I still think Fields has a chance if he gets someone who can help develop him a little bit. But right now, it's looking really nice for Mac Jones. And if he can take the Patriots even back to the playoffs, not win anything even, but just back, Bill Belichick will have won the battle. I just say he will absolutely won the battle. All right, well, let's get to our listener questions. We have one who's in our live chat right now. He says, I heard that 49ers were initially thought to move up for Mac Jones, but for whatever they passed on him. Also, we keep hearing about rookie quarterbacks having a ceiling. What does that mean exactly? So when they talk about a player having a ceiling, what they're talking about is the floor and the ceiling. So the floor is the worst he can play. The ceiling is the best he can play, the best of what you can get out of a player. That varies with the coaching staff that is around him or at their talent level. So if you have a quarterback who is fantastic and can run but can't throw a ball deep, his ceiling's going to be a little lower. Or you have someone who can throw a moon ball but legs are like cement in the pocket, their ceiling is going to be lower. They're just not going to reach that kind of really elite status. So the ceiling is how high, how good of a player do you think they be? Are they Hall of Fame level? Are they Super Bowl winning? Are they that sort of thing? So that's what that means. All right. We have another question too. I hope that answers your question. We have another fan question also.
Yeah. So my friend Glenn Schroeder has asked us a question today. So he says, are the Saints playoffs hopes over? And who would be your dark horses to sneak into the playoffs?
Liz, I'm gonna let you go first.
Dark horse. The thing is, the dark horse you've mentioned that's not a dark horse, it's a super obvious, but I don't know, that's obviously Cardinals. Dark horse, I don't know. I think that's too hard for me to think about who that even really is right now, because I still feel like it's up in the air a little bit. I don't know why I feel like it's up in the air, but I just there's no one obvious. It's obviously not going to be the Seahawks. We know that much. I can't really call Rams a dark horse because they are a side that's like obvious, but potentially could build it up. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I actually think the 49ers are going to make it. I swear to God.
Oh, her vomit. Shona.
Sorry, I do. I really do. I honestly think they're the dark horses. I know it makes me feel sick because we're not going to be there, but I honestly think they are going to just string that little pieces together that they need to, and they will make the playoffs.
So to answer the Saints part of the question, I think because it's so wide open and so many teams are hot and cold. I can't say you can write the Saints off at 5-5 yet, because I really truly think to get in the playoffs, you're only going to need 10 wins because there's so many playoff teams this year now. And so no, I haven't written them off yet. This Thanksgiving Day game will say a lot, I think, on how they're trending. As for a dark horse to get in, I still wouldn't be surprised if there ended up with 2 NFC West teams in the playoffs. I think that the Chargers still could get on a pretty good roll here and bump their way in for sure. And then I would Washington has looked really good the last couple of games. Let me see. Let me look at these standings for just a minute.
I do agree with you on the Saints, though. I don't think you can write them off.
Oh, definitely not. I don't think at this point.
Either. No, yeah. But you're right. Thursday will be a really defining factor for them.
So Washington is at 4-6. They looked really good. They play Seattle on Monday night, but then they play the Raiders, the Cowboys twice, the Eagles twice, and the Giants. So if they could win maybe both those Eagles games and that sort of thing, that would be interesting to me. I wouldn't be surprised if they won on Monday. I think their defense, we talked about their defense at the beginning of the season, and we're now starting to finally see that just a little bit. The Titans, I think that they're almost guaranteed in. The Colts, I'm thinking maybe. Let's say my dark horse is the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati Bengals are sitting at 6-4, and they had such a hot start and then got a little cold. But if you look at the rest of their season, it's not going to be easy. They played the 49ers and the Chargers and the Ravens and the Chiefs. So it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't write them off completely yet. So I think that's who it'll be for me. So I hope that we answered everyone's questions, and I hope you enjoyed our show. We will be back again in 2 weeks. We are here every other Tuesday at 6 p.m. UK time, noon Central time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. So we hope that you guys will join us again there. So thanks, everybody. Have a great day.